Hi, and thanks for joining me on my channel, Canadian Board Game Replays. I hope you enjoy the game replay that I have for you today. Today we're going to be looking at a game of Bang, an Old West style card game. And here's the narrative. Be the last one standing in this Wild West shootout game with hidden roles. The outlaws hunt the sheriff. The sheriff hunts the outlaws. The renegade plots secretly, ready to take one side or the other. Bullets fly. Who among the gunmen is a deputy, ready to sacrifice himself for the sheriff? And who is a merciless outlaw, willing to kill him? If you want to find out, just draw your cards, that is. Before we go any further, I want to give a warning about an inappropriate item in this game. The game has a card called Indian. Although that may have been acceptable in the time this game was set in, 1865 to 1895 USA, this is not appropriate today. When the card is played, each other player gets shot at, bang, and has to counter with their own bang to avoid losing a life. If this offends you greatly, please do not proceed further. If I was able, I would remove the card from the game to remove this reference, but alas, that is not something I am able to do. To avoid saying the word while commentating, I am simply going to refer to it as an I card. Okay, let's jump right into the game. This is a 7-player game of Bang, played with myself, Paul T111, and 6 other opponents. We're currently looking at this from the sheriff's perspective, as they always go first. So the sheriff is LS, and you can see what cards they're starting with. They've got Bang Bang, Mist, and a Beer. Beer is a healing card, so that's interesting starting cards. Let's go around the table and see what everyone has in terms of character. So in this game, every person has a character that they've selected, and the characters have special powers. So let's go take a look at Alessa's, and then we can go around the table and take a look at everyone else's. So Les has a good starting card, Kit Carlson. So this one says, during phase 1 of his turn, he looks at the top 3 cards of the deck, chooses 2 to draw, and puts the other one back on top of the deck face down. So usually you just get the top 2 cards. With this player's ability, you get the top 3 cards, and you get to pick the 2 you want. So that could be really good. So going around the table, PBW has Calamity Janet. So she can play Bang cards as Mist cards and vice versa. So it just gives you more access to different options to play. You'll see that when we get into the gameplay part of this. Valgam is Slab the Killer. Players trying to cancel his Bang cards need to play 2 Mist cards. So usually with 1 Mist card, you can fight off a Bang, but this one takes 2. So that's better for some guaranteed damage. Then we have Zuzana is Vulture Sam. Whenever a character is eliminated from play, he takes all the cards of that player. So that could be good. Having more cards is always a good thing in this game. Then Eager is Willie the Kid. He can play any number of bangs during his turn. Usually you can only play 1 bang per turn, so that's good flexibility there. Then Anabaj is Blackjack. During phase 1 of their turn, they may show the second card they draw. If it's heart or diamonds, they draw an additional card. So, one negative here, you have to show your second card, which, can tell people what you have in your hand. But half the time, hearts or diamonds, you're going to get to draw an extra card, which is a benefit. And then myself, I have the Jourdain's card. Whenever he's the target of a bang, he may draw. On a heart, he is missed. So whenever they say draw, they mean like flipping over the next card in the draw pile, and then whatever attribute they're looking for. In this case, for me, it's the suit. So if it's a heart suit, then it's a miss for the bang I'm trying to fight off. So that's pretty interesting. Now let's take a look at everyone else's starting cards. Thanks to the magic of a little bit of video editing, I've managed to make this so we can see everyone's perspective. So we're currently looking at Alessa's view. So now let's take a look at PBW. So PBW is starting off as an outlaw. Again, this is not information you have. The only information you know is what you are and who the sheriff is. Everything else is hidden. So even the sheriff doesn't know who their deputies are. And it makes for some interesting plays, and we'll see that in some of the rounds here, I think. While everyone's in the beginning of the game, everyone's sorting out who's who and how to treat them. So that's kind of an interesting part of this game. So, okay, so looking at this here now, this is PBW. So he's got Bang Bang, Miss. So not a bad starting set of cards. Now we're looking at this from Val's perspective, Valgam. So mist, panic, and an I card. So the panic card allows you to steal a card from another player, and then the I card allows you to bang, basically send everyone a bang, and they have to play a bang or else they take damage. So next we're moving on to Zuzana. So Zuzana is a deputy sheriff, which is interesting. That's an interesting role. So Winchester is one of their cards. That's a range 5 gun. So very good. Basically allows you to hit pretty much everyone on the board. Then she's got a bang, a cat Baloo, which allows you to force a player to discard a card, which is good. And then a barrel, which allows you to hide behind the barrel. And if a heart is flipped over, then it's a miss. So that's a good defensive card for sure. All right, now we're looking at this from Eager's perspective. So Eager is another deputy sheriff, and they've got the volcanic gun, which is very good. It only has a range of 1, so it can only shoot the person like next to you, but it can shoot as many bangs as you want in a turn. Very valuable, and could unload a bunch of bangs and surprise someone. Then they have 2 bangs, and then the Mustang. The Mustang card allows you to be seen +1 away from other players. So if you're 1 away from them, then they would need a 2 range weapon to hit you, as long as you have the Mustang card down and in play. Okay, now we're looking at Anabaj's perspective. So Anabaj is the Renegade, and they've got the Schofield range 2 weapon, Volcanic range 1 weapon we already talked about, a bang, and a mist. So good starting cards there as well. And here's my hand. So I'm an outlaw, and I've got bang, 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 and duel. The duel card is interesting. You can challenge any one player to a duel, and you basically just trade off bangs until someone runs out or doesn't want to play one, and then that person takes a life. Speaking of lives, just to point out for anyone who's not super familiar, the lives everyone has are based on the number of colored bullets they have. So when you lose all your bullets, you lose all your lives. So that's our starting point. So we've gone around, we've looked at everyone's hands, we've looked at their starting characters. So now let's move on and let's take a look at the gameplay. Before we start the gameplay, let me just explain how this is going to happen. You are always going to see the active player's screen. So you're going to see the cards they have at the top. You're going to see their roll card at the top left, and you're always going to see their board at the top, and then all the other players kind of down the sides and along the bottom. So that is not the way BGA shows their replays. It is through a little bit of magic of video editing that I've been able to do that, and I hope you appreciate that and that it works out well for the analysis. So we're starting with the sheriff, as we always do in Bang, and the sheriff is LS. And as we discussed first, they're starting with 2 bangs, 2 mist, and a beer, which is a healing card. They also have the ability to draw 3 cards and then select the 2 they want because of their character, the Kit Carlson character. So that's what they're starting with. You can see at the top there it says you must select 2 cards for the effect. So they've drawn 3, now they're selecting 2. So let's get on with it. So just starting off here. Okay, so they added to their hand a couple cards. That's good. So you can see they played the scope card, which gives them -1 range on all their opponents. So if someone is 2 away, they only need a 1 range gun to shoot them. So that's something. And they also got a jail card, which could come in handy later on. They've played the general store card. So what that means is it goes around, and you can see here there's a selection of 5 cards. Everyone gets to pick 1 card in order. So Valgam is going to start. And what did they take? They took a bang. Okay. Next player takes a missed card. Good for defense. Next player takes the rifle. Okay. Good. High range white rifle. The high range rifle, just point out, doesn't always have a lot of strategic importance in a 2-player game, but in a 7-player game, it's very good because with the one he got had a range of 5. Basically means you can hit almost pretty much everyone as long as there aren't a lot of effects in play. So that's a very good rifle for a large player game. So just keep that in mind. And then took a bang there. And then what's your next card? So they're playing the jail card on eager. So we can see here that the players don't really know who is what role yet, and they're trying to suss that out. So this is kind of interesting because here we know that Eager is a deputy sheriff, but the sheriff doesn't know that yet. So they're trying to suss that out, and otherwise, obviously, they wouldn't have jailed their deputy. But that's an interesting part of this game. You don't know who's what. The only player that's known is the sheriff. Everyone else is concealed until you figure out the behaviors. So let's keep going. Okay, next player's turn. So next we have PBW, who is the outlaw. You can see they're starting with a bunch of bangs, mist, beer, bang, and then the cat baloo, which is the one that allows you to steal. So let's see how they approach this. They start by playing their cat baloo, which forced the sheriff to discard a card, which they ended up discarding a mist. So that's a good start. So they follow that up with a bang, thinking maybe they can take advantage of that lack of mist. But I believe they have another one from what I remember. Yep, they did. So they block that. And let's see what else PBW does here. So they're just discarding down. So they have only 4 bullets, which means they can only have 4 cards in their hand at the end of the turn. So they have to discard. And they pass on to the next player, which is going to be Valgam. So Valgam is another outlaw. So they start by playing the I card, which is going to go around the table and basically hit everyone with a bang. So let's see how this goes. So you can counter this with a bang card, or you take a loss of life. So first 2 players have countered with bang cards. It's early in the game, not really surprising. Everyone's got a bang. But what this is doing is it's draining everyone of their bang cards and making it less likely that they'll be able to make an offensive bang later on in their turn. So you're not really doing damage here. You're just pulling out different bang cards. So they played a panic, which allows them to steal a card from a player, from Susanna. Interesting. And they played a Cat Baloo, which forced the sheriff to discard their scope, which again, we talked about range earlier on with the large rifle. Similar with the scope. The scope is a very good card in this 7-player game. It allows you to extend your range. So by pulling that back, it really pulls back on the number of players the sheriff can shoot. So pretty good move on their part. They hit Susanna with a bang. Now you see it set at the top there that they can react with 2 miss. Let's remember that this player's special ability is that if you want to counter a bang from this player, you have to use 2 missed cards instead of 1, which makes it a lot more difficult to counter. And you can see that Susanna wasn't able to do so, and they've lost a life. So moving on now to Susanna, their turn now. They start by playing a panic on Valgam, allows them to grab a card. They're playing beer to heal up from the hit they took. They're playing the barrel. For anyone who's not aware, the barrel is kind of like a dodge card. So if you are hit or if you're banged and you use the effect, if a heart is flipped over on the bang pile, then it's a miss. So it gives you like a 25% chance of a miss, and it's always there until it gets removed. So very good card for the beginning of the game. So now we're on Eager, and they are a deputy. So you can see they had the jail card, but they were able to draw a card that got them out of it, so they didn't miss their turn, which would be the consequence of the jail card in general. So let's see what they do here. So they're putting down the rifle. So it's a level 4 rifle, 4 range. And they're going to play a duel card on PBW. So duel cards allow you to basically trade off bang cards, and the first player who runs out takes the life. So let's see what happens here. He just takes straight up life. So that might mean he doesn't have a bank card. It also might mean he didn't want to use it. The strategies there all along the way. So he hit him with another bang, and then he countered. So, and remembering that that person's ability is they can use bang or missed cards interchangeably. So you can see they used a bang card to stop that second bang as if it was a missed. So good use of their ability there. Okay, so now we're playing as Anna, who's a renegade. Reminder for anyone, the difference between an outlaw and a renegade. The renegade wants to see the sheriff die. That's true, but they want the outlaws to be shot first and then the sheriff. So it creates some really interesting strategies in terms of who you attack. You don't want to necessarily attack the sheriff too early and help the outlaws kill him, because if they do and they don't die first, then you lose. So interesting strategy, the renegade. Probably the hardest character to play, in my opinion, just because there's a lot of nuance. If you're the sheriff, you just want to kill everyone. If you're the deputy sheriff, you want to kill everyone but the sheriff. And if you're the outlaw, you want to kill everyone who's not an outlaw. The renegade really is a bit more subtlety to the game, so probably one of the harder players to play as. So they're playing a barrel defensively. We talked about that before. They're playing a bang on Susanna. Again, they've probably figured that's an outlaw or a deputy, which makes logical sense. Okay, so now it's Paul T, which is myself playing here. So let's see how that plays out. So I challenge duel to the sheriff, partially because you can see they only have 2 cards there. So the odds of them having more bangs than me is pretty much 0 because I have 3. So we go through and we trade off a little bit here. They take the hit. I play a stagecoach, which allows me to draw 2 extra cards. And I hit them with a bang. So they're already down to 2 lives, down 2 lives to 3. So now the sheriff's taken over here. See what they do. So they've got to start off, you can have a bang, beer, bang, and then a cat baloo. So probably we're going to see them play the beer here to heal up. So it's going to start with the cat baloo, which forces the player to discard one of their cards. Now they play the beer to heal like we thought they would. Makes sense. And that's it. So they elected not to use any of their bang cards. They're obviously maybe saving up for a future action, but that's not a bad strategy. So now we come back to PBW. So they play a bang on the sheriff. And the sheriff takes that as a one hit. They play a beer to heal themselves up. And that is it. We're on to Valgam now, another outlaw. First thing they do is general store. So again, for reminders, everyone gets to pick 1 card at the general store. So Susanna takes the jail card. Eager takes the I card. Then we got a rifle there. And then a duel. Missed. And then PBW takes the cat baloo. Okay. They play the Wells Fargo card, which allows them to draw 3. They play down a Schofield, just a range 2 weapon. So that allows them to hit the sheriff. Without that, they couldn't have hit the sheriff. So that was a well-played card on their part. Let's see what the sheriff counters with. They hit with a bang. They take the life. So they're down to only 2. And now we're on to Susanna's turn, who's a deputy sheriff. They have a full life. They drew a couple cards. Stay with stagecoach. They played jail on my character, on Paul. And they played a bang onto Valgam. Let's see what Valgam does. So Valgam has a miss to counter that, so it doesn't take any life there. They played their level 5 Winchester rifle, so good range. Again, allows them to hit pretty much everyone on the map, which is valuable. And then they move on. Now it's Eager's turn. Eager is another deputy sheriff. They start playing an I card. So everyone gets a counter with that. They can. So get a counter there for myself. The sheriff counters. PBW counters. Valgam takes a life. Susanna counters. And then they go for a bang directly to PBW. PBW counters with a bang, which is a miss for them. Another bang. And this time they take a life. So they're down to 3. Another bang. Takes the life. So again, just a reminder of why this player can do that. Normally, you can only play one bang per turn, but this person's character, Willie the Kid, their special ability is they can play as many bang cards as they want during any turn. So that's why you see a player who's got that card tends to accumulate bang cards and use them in one turn to try and knock someone out or try and bring them down really low. So that's what's happening here. Okay, so moving on. It's going to be Anna's turn now. So Anna's the Renegade. So it starts with a beer to heal up. Then Mustang. The Mustang card is very good here. It gives them an additional point of range for the other players who are attacking them. So if someone's trying to attack them from one away, they would need a range 2 weapon to do that. And again, in a larger game like this with 7 players, range is really key. So that's a really well played card at this time of the game. They play a jail card on Valgam. They replace their range 2 weapon with a range 3 weapon. Again, lets them hit more players, which is great. Then they try to hit a bang for Valgam. See if Valgam counters with a mist. So no loss of life there. Okay. So I missed a turn there with the jail card. When I flipped over, I didn't get the required cards, so I got skipped there, which is fine. I got full life. I wouldn't be worried about it this time. So now comes the sheriff for their turn. Now they're already down to 2 lives, so they're at risk. So let's see how they play this. Start with the I card, try and get some people down. So let's see who counters here. PBW does not counter, down to 1 life. So PBW's at risk. Valgan doesn't counter either. Okay, Susanna doesn't counter. Okay, moving on. So PBW is out. So they hit a bang. PBW is dead. So that's interesting. Let's see what else the sheriff does here. Sheriff puts down another scope to get some better range. And that's the end of their turn. Now, the disadvantage here, since they only have 2 bullets, they're only allowed to have 2 cards at the end of their turn. So now they're going to have to discard some cards, which is going to make them very vulnerable, given they only have 2 lives left. So let's see how this plays out. All right, so now moving on to Susanna's turn. Again, they have 3 life. They're one of the deputy sheriffs, so they're trying to defend their sheriff at this point, who's at risk of getting shot out. So they play the Cat Baloo on Valgam, which causes them to discard a card from their hand. Then they hit them with a bang, and then Valgam takes a hit. They're down to 1, and then they have to discard a card to end their turn. Again, they only have 3 bullets left, so they could only have 3 cards in their hand. Moving on to Eager. So Eager is another deputy sheriff. They are at 3 lives. Let's see how they play this. Oh, sorry, we skipped ahead there. Wrong character. So Eager has 4 bullets still. And yeah, they don't have a lot of cards to play with here. Play the I card. It goes around. Yeah, lots of people are getting knocked out here. Valgam's out. Okay. We're now on Eager. So Eager's picked up some cards. They have 2 bangs, which at this point of the game is very, very good. They play a Cat Baloo on my character, on Paul. Trying to suss out probably a card like that, like Mist. So that's a strong play on their part. They hit me with a bang. Do I counter? Okay, try and hit me again. Let's see, do I counter here? No, I don't. So I'm down to only 1 life here. That's critical. But sometimes you got to risk a little bit to make it ahead. So now Anna's playing here. You can see they've got quite the hand. Lots of bangs, mist, guns, Kapaloo. This person's got a ton of cards, which is really great at this point of the game. So they play the Kapaloo on Eager, gets them to discard their Mustang, which is good, brings them back into range. So for a lot of other players, so that's good. And they're going to start chipping away and trying to get them down. They've got 4 lives left. They really need them out of the game. As the Renegade, they need to kill all the outlaws, reminder, before the sheriff dies. So they go back to they get rid of their range 3 weapon, replace with a range 1 weapon, but this weapon's special. It allows you to shoot as many bang cards as you want in 1 turn. So not sure that's a great move on their part, given they only have 1 bang at this point, but they do have a general store, so they might be counting on picking up another bang that way. So again, trying to take down Eager for another point. And they did. That was actually a pretty good play then. They got a second score there. And now they can go to the general store, maybe pick up another bang, which, okay, they didn't, but that's okay. They're picking up a miss for defense. And they've got a beer for healing, so that's good. So Susanna takes the stagecoach, which draws cards, which is valuable here. And then really the kids get stuck with a weapon they don't need. So kind of a waste for them. They play a beer to heal up. And they move on. So now it is my turn. And there we go. I'm going to start doling out some damage here. Again, I'm just trying to kill that sheriff. They only have 2 left. And you can see I got lots of good cards here to play. I use Panic to try and steal a card away from them, so I'd have a better chance of hitting them with the remaining bangs that I have. And normally here, as we've talked before, you can only play 1 bang per turn, which means I'd only be able to take them out one at a time here in terms of lives. But I have a dual card, so that could potentially allow me to hit them twice. And if you also notice here, they only have 1 card left. So I'm seeing that, and I'm realizing that basically this is my chance to hit them. You know, I've got 3 bangs. I've got a duel. I know I can, I know I can outbang them in the duel. I'm basically seeing a win here. I don't see any scenario where I don't win, given they only have 1 card. So let's just let this play out here and see if that works out. So start with the duel. They can't counter because they don't have any bangs. And then I hit them with a bang, which we know they can't counter. And that ends the game. So yeah, the Outlaws are victorious against the Sheriffs. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this commentating of Bang, 7-player game. I will tell you it's the first one I've done of Bang, and it was very challenging to get all the screens coordinated, but I hope that it worked out well for you and you enjoyed it. There was some good strategy discussion here in terms of what got used. Just, as we went around the table, I will tell you, as I was playing this game, the last round, I could have countered some of the bangs with mist or with bangs for some of the duels, and I intentionally took damage in order to save up cards to play in that last round. So I was actively thinking about that, seeing the sheriff only had 2 left. I was thinking, oh man, this is my chance. I risked going down all the way to 1, but I did have a mist and bangs that could have saved me if I had to, if I got attacked again. I didn't, and I was able to use those bangs to my advantage in the last round to defeat the sheriff and claim victory for the Outlaws. Again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. If you like what you're hearing, feel free to subscribe so you can get notifications of any of my new stuff that comes up. And other than that, again, appreciate you. Canadian Board Game Replays. And I hope to see you in a future video, and you can watch more videos going forward. Thank you very much. Bye.